Welcome to Rev Sports. It is the third ODI between India women and Australia women. India have lost two matches on the trot, which means Australia already have the series in the bag. But tonight will be all about whether Australia can whitewash the series or whether India will go out with a bang. We have Ishan Shahane joining from the Wankhede Stadium and Trisha Ghoshal. Ishan, over to you first. Give us all the updates. What is the crowd like? What is the atmosphere like over there?
Very disappointing, Gagi. I think it's the worst I've seen up till now, and that's not good news because there's no one up till now. So I'm guessing it's because of the performance, that was happened last night. I mean, the previous match that took place. So obviously, very disappointing. There's not many people out here as well, and I think you can't help it because that last game the Indians were playing so well, they were getting so close, and everybody was thinking that this might end up in a victory. Unfortunately, it did not go that way, and obviously a lot of fans were, I think, disappointed from that game. And I'm not surprised, but it's not good to see because I think after those two test wins, a lot of momentum was built. And what's important to note here is that once you build that momentum, you don't want to throw that away, right? And I think the Indians have just thrown it away in the last two games. And I think even that Trisha might agree with this over here because, two historic test wins, which is a big, big feat. And there was a lot of expectation that was really built up even when they were coming out to play at Wankhede. Unfortunately, people might argue that both the games are fairly close. Both the games, the girls play good cricket, but playing good cricket is not good enough at the moment. You want to play better cricket than the other team, and unfortunately, they didn't do that. So heartbreak.
Yes, and Trisha, what are you expecting from the Indian team going into this match?
To be very honest, India has to play out of their skins because, yes, it's a dead rubber, but your opponent is Australia. They will never give you, in fact, any chances. I was surprised by the kind of fielding we saw from Australia as well, because
Yeah.
generally Australia is not going to repeat those fielding performances. So we have to be better in all three departments. And just adding on to what Ishan said, I think Ishan is so correct in saying that when India won the two back-to-back test matches, you could see the crowd
Yes.
shouting for Saika, the crowd rooting for Sriyanka, the debutants. And why am I taking Saika and Sriyanka's name? Is they are not people who have performed for years now. But the problem is that your players who have been there in the setup for years now have not performed and have not stood up in this series. It could have taken us, it could have actually helped the women's game had India at least stayed in the series. If it was 1-1 and today was the decider, you would have seen a complete change in what Ishan is saying. Ishan would have been surrounded by crowds, people wanting to, cheer India. But currently, unfortunately, a lot of fans have again lost hope in the team. And that is where today the performance not only has to be good, because good will no more be good enough. It has to be way better, and they have to probably win by 15, 20 runs, 30 runs or more to show that, what, we are there, we are that standard, because otherwise it's the same story over and over again.
Yes, Gagi, and
Absolutely.
just to
And
add to that, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just to add to that, I think the performances has to be, absolutely great, and have to, agree with Trisha here because the T20 series is also coming up. So this will set the platform
Exactly.
basically. So if you do well in today's match, if you end up winning with a big margin, you can expect a lot of crowd at DY Patil. And if you don't do well today, it's going to be the same scenario with DY Patil. So basically, this is the cycle, and in that cycle, you want to continuously keep performing well to attract that sort of crowd.
Yes, and when we talk about the performances that India has had, of course, with those two historic test wins, it's been good. But then when we're back to those shorter formats, to ODIs and T20Is, we're again seeing, you know, a not so good Indian side. And what happens if, of course, none of us want this to happen, none of the Indian fans want this to happen. But if tonight, India ends up losing, will their questions be raised on Harmanpreet Kaur's captaincy?
It's quite obvious. Not only Harmanpreet Kaur's captaincy, I would also raise a question on what is Harmanpreet Kaur's performance. Because yes, in the Test match against Australia, she had performed. But otherwise, if you look at it, Harmanpreet Kaur cannot boast of a performance where she has single-handedly taken the team away. I'm not talking about 171 because there are a lot of people who will start commenting on saying that she had that 171. And in this series, even last match, with Richa being completely set, all had to do was be there with her. The asking rate wasn't huge, and as a captain, as a seasoned performers, the disappointing part, Gargi, is if players like Smriti Mandana, if players like Harmanpreet Kaur do not stand up, then what do you expect? You can't say that Richa has to stand up every day. You are criticizing Shafali, but I'm not seeing people asking questions of Harmanpreet Kaur. I think Harmanpreet Kaur, the batter, will be questioned because do not forget, Gargi, she doesn't bowl, regularly, right?
Yes.
Ever since her shoulder injury, and even she doesn't bowl regularly since she's the captain. In fact, when Mithali was the captain, Harman has bowled way more than Harman has under her own captaincy. So yes, there have been some baffling bowling changes, and I think not only her captaincy, it always happens. It goes hand in hand, Gargi. If you are batting well, and maybe those lack in the field would be forgiven. So both are going to go hand in hand, and her position in the team will be questioned, and rightfully so.
Ishan.
Yeah, that's so true, Gagi, because, to be fair, I don't think Harmanpreet has really performed. Besides that 49 she made in that test match, there haven't been consistent performances. And if you've realized, it's always been a team effort. So good on the Indians for, coming together as a team and performing well in the test matches, because we've had a Deepti Sharma, we've had Pooja perform, we've had Jemima play some good knocks as well. But Harmanpreet hasn't really performed, if you're being honest. So, she's absolutely right here when she says that. And questions will be raised, and they have to be raised, Gagi, because, there has to be a time where strict action is implied, because you can't just let it go the way it's going. Okay, you might win two great test matches, but then you want to continue the momentum. There's no point winning it and then losing the next series, right? You want to take inspiration from the test matches and continue on with the winning form. So obviously questions will be raised, and it's right. She might face a lot of slack for this. There might be a lot of questions that might go against her. There might be a difference of opinion, but overall, I think she hasn't done well herself. She's probably led the side well, but her own performances haven't been great. And as a captain, you have to be leading from the front. You have to take the onus. You have to be getting those runs. She hasn't done that.
Bharat, we were just talking about Harmanpreet Kaur and her performance. Will there now be questions raised on her captaincy as well?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the captain has to lead from the front, as you know. Even in the past, she has gone through such periods where it seemed like she was going through a really bad patch. I remember one of my ex-colleagues asking a question in the press conference, and she kind of got angry about her form. So it's for her to come back to form. She's one of those players, I guess. Unlike Smriti Mandana, she has a bit of trigger moment. So with Harmanpreet Kaur, sometimes perhaps her game goes off the radar a little bit, and suddenly she just kind of tweaks her trigger a little bit, maybe, and then gets back into form. So it's for Harmanpreet to find that groove again.
Yes, and with Harmanpreet
And
Kaur,
yeah,
Shafali Verma's form also is of concern. And there's this question that we have from Maddie, one of our viewers, and he's saying India needs to groom Kiran Navgire. Shafali has been given a long rope. Kiran Navgire is your big hitter. Risha, what do you think about that?
Kiran Navgire has done well in the domestic, is what I will say, because Shafali has also always done well in the domestic. You have to understand something, Gargi, that the difference between Indian domestic women's cricket and the international cricket is pretty huge. So when somebody is performing in domestic level and you are bringing that person to the international level now, with WPL probably the transition will be a little easier, but you also have to understand that WPL
yeah,
is in season one, so it will take a little more time. Otherwise, you are almost asking someone in class 8 to suddenly give you a class 12 exam, and it becomes very, very difficult. While I'm not denying Kiran Navkire has done very well, I do think that we can try Kiran Navgiri out because you have to. Safali has been And there is nobody denying Shafali's talent, but yes, Shafali has only been a talent. She has not really converted that. So no harm in giving Kiran Abdide a chance and seeing, where does it really take us. But I will still repeat that the moment we see a lot of good domestic performances, we tend to, suggest that this person is going to do superbly well in international cricket, and then we start criticizing the player the moment that doesn't happen. We don't realize that the transition is huge.
Yes, Bharat.
Just adding
Yeah.
a point. Just adding a point on that. When I was about to write bring copy on Brinda Dinesh, I was doing some research. We were going through a lot of video, YouTube clips and all. And one could see that the difference between domestic cricket and international cricket seemed to be quite big. She definitely added a lot of skill. It seemed like she had a little bit of McGlenning in her batting, but the bowling standards, the opposition standards, it seemed not so good. So yeah, I agree that the gap must be quite huge between international cricket and domestic cricket, and it's for the administrators to ensure. Yeah, obviously WPL is coming through, but it's for the administrators to ensure the gap kind of isn't so huge between domestic and international.
Maddie here also seems to suggest that Shafali needs to be tried at number 6 and work on another skill. Trisha.
I don't mind, to be very honest. And especially, I'll tell you why I don't mind. Because my question is, if you can if you suddenly take Richa out, and if that is your long-term plan to keep Richa at number 3, then who are your finishers? Because let's
Yes.
face it, Harmanpreet Kaur is not consistent enough. She might be deemed as a finisher, but she's not going to be your consistent finisher. So you have to look at someone like Pooja, yes, but you need one more finisher because Deepthi has shown over and over again that she's not a finisher. Maybe she can save an innings like when India needed Deepthi to bat in the in the first innings against Australia. Deepthi did that beautifully. In those situations, Deepthi Sharma, yes, but otherwise she's not your finisher. So why not try Shafali maybe at number 6 and see if that helps us. That helps us and that helps Shafali. Maybe less number of balls to face, less to think about, less to plan about, and might be helpful.
Yes, and going back to the point about Diti Sharma, these two matches, the previous two matches, have really exposed India's batting lineup and shown that if the top order doesn't perform, all the pressure falls on, someone like a Deepti Sharma, and she has been very inconsistent, or rather, let's say, very slow when it comes to shorter formats.
Yeah.
Do you see, a consideration happening or a reshuffle in the batting order now that those, matches have really exposed the batting order? Bharat, your thoughts?
Look at that particular point. See, when it comes to Dipti Sharma, even in the past, I've seen on occasions she takes a little bit of time to get going. Not the kind of player who will come straight away and play shots. Nothing against her. In certain areas, she's really good, but not someone who you can say has shots right through all parts of the ground. So she has her weaknesses. So India can definitely look at shuffling the batting order, even if it means asking Shafali to bat at some other position. But obviously, that particular batter has to be ready to play at that position, because as you know, if ex player has played as an opener for long periods of time, he or she might end up saying, no, I can't play at another position, because your muscle memory would be such that you would have batted at a certain position for long periods, and you wouldn't want to bat at another position. So it also depends on the batter whether she wants to take up another slot. But India definitely can try.
Ishan, your thoughts?
Yes, Gagi. I think first I'll address Shafali Verma. So yes, she hasn't been at her
Ishan,
best.
again, I think, Ishan, your
Yeah.
earphones have connected instead of your mic, I believe, and the static
Oh,
is
all right. Okay.
noise
Let
is
me just
coming there.
run that.
Risha, why don't you take this question?
Yeah, I think we need to change the batting order for sure. I don't even think it should be a consideration because Deepti Sharma is someone, especially in one-day cricket, we have to rethink Deepti's role completely in T20 cricket because of her batting. There's absolutely no problem with her bowling. Fantastic bowler, Also, the amount, like the contribution that Deepti does in bowling and fielding, she can play as a bowler who can bat, in T20s. But in one days, I think we are not using Deepti Sharma enough, because if you honestly ask me, if you are opening with two left-handers, I don't see Deepti coming in at number three. But then send Jemima in at number three and send Deepti at number four. Because Richa going at number three again, last match, Richa was under a lot of pressure. It was
Yes.
Jemima who came and started speaking to her, eased that pressure. Because at number three, you are supposed to be an anchor in ODIs. You're not supposed to hit the ball, or at least that seemed like was her role in the team. Or she has been instructed to be the anchor. Now the thing is, she has to play a lot more balls, be careful, choose her shots better, which is obviously putting a lot of pressure on her. That's why I don't see her at number three. Bring someone like a Jemima in. At number four, bring Deepti. Five, Harman. Your six, seven could well be, 6, 7, 8 could well be Richa, Pooja, the hard hitters, basically. And that what that also gives you is Deepti can give that solidarity to their batting. Let's not say that Deepti is a bad batter. She's a bad finisher. She cannot give you maybe a runner ball, or if you suddenly need a sixer, I don't think she can come and hit a sixer first ball. But she's not a bad batter, and you're not using her fully because all rounders are very rare. All rounders who can bowl 10 overs and bat long, in ODI format. Deepti can bat for 50 overs because do not forget, Deepti was an opener and also has one of the highest scores as an opener in ODIs. Yes, the team probably was Ireland, if I'm not wrong, but that is not the point. The point is she can play longish innings. So you have to get her up the order so that you utilize your resources properly. I think, because India is not winning matches consistently, we are experimenting too much and we are forgetting to use the resources we already have handy.
Absolutely, and we're getting to see, the playing 11, and Mannat Kashyap is making her debut. Mannat Kashyap has been incredible in, those under 19s and the India A games. He's been a talented, bowler. Since ever since her domestic period, talk about that, Trisha. You have been following her journey quite a lot.
Yes, I think Manav Kashyap is a very good bowler. Again, I repeat, we have to see how well she transitions. She'll take some time. But
Yeah.
here, absolutely no problems with Mannat Kashyap. But my only question is, what exactly is going through Saika Ishak's mind? You give her a debut cap in the first match, and here Manat Kashyap has not come in place of Shriyanka. Manat has come in place of Sneha Rana. So there was a slot empty. You didn't
Yeah.
get in Saika. Probably the only explanation could be that you're trying to get in some batting as well. But otherwise, Manat Kashyap herself is a very good bowler. I would still say that she needs to work a little on her, pace changes. But otherwise, I think it'll be a very, very interesting player to watch out for in the future, and even in WPL. I was actually looking forward to seeing her in WPL, but right now in ODIs, we'll see her as well.
Absolutely. And, before I wrap up with the predictions, I need to ask you all, this has been something that is being pointed out a lot on Twitter, a lot on social media as well, is India's fielding, dropping six plus catches in the last match. Bharat, do you see Amol Muzumdar kind of making that change? Because it is high time now.
See, I don't know how much a coach can do here because it's not one match, it's not two matches. So once noted, even somewhere in 2017 in some Asia Cup match, I was seeing India dropping catches. Yeah, teams have changed. Indian women's team has changed from that point of time in terms of personnel, but it has been repeating. It's not one or two matches. It's been repeating over 6 7 years. I don't know. Maybe it is a mental side. I guess it's mental thing with the Indian women's team or something like that. That when they see the ball, somehow they keep dropping catches. When it comes to fielding, it is about attacking the ball a little more. That is where I guess Amal Muzumdar would be stressing upon. But finally, it comes down to the Indian women's team to make sure that they field well, because these are basics. They're not getting the basics right. We can talk about selections, we can talk about shuffling, but if you keep dropping catches, 7 catches, if you don't run well between the wickets, don't do the simple things, then you would end up losing by 5 6 runs. So that is where I guess the main focus should be.
Trisha, you have something to say.
Yes, I completely agree with Bharat. And there is one more thing, Gagi, is that somehow Indian fielders, seem like they don't expect the ball to come to them. The best of fielders expect all the 300 balls to come to them, which is not practically possible. But they are that ready. Someone like a Jemima, she can be in any part of the field, but Jemima will be ready for the ball to come to her. But with all the catches, be it Yastika, be it Smriti, they could have been in much better positions had they anticipated the ball to come. And when I say anticipated, I'm not talking about that particular ball. To be, when Bharat says attacking, that's exactly what it means. You want the ball to come to you. You want the catch. That's why you're completely ready. You're looking at the, ball completely. So you stay in control. That has been missing. I think we are, and I said this in the beginning of the show, right? I think we are very lucky that Australia has returned those favors to us. But Australian team, forget about Australian team, Australia, England, nobody, South Africa, they're not going to return favors every single match. We have to get our basics right, and
Yeah.
only then can we think of competing with such standard teams.
Yes, and Joydeep Mukherjee here has a question. Does India need to play a different brand of cricket to compete with the Aussies? Bharat.
Not exactly. I don't know how to answer this, but I'm not too sure it's about a different brand of cricket. I guess it's about getting the basics right. It's not like this Australian women's team is, what can you say, an all-conquering. Obviously, they're an all-conquering side at present, but in the women's Ashes, we saw that England gave them a real tough fight. It was kind of tight at the end. So this Australian team without McGlenning, I think, can be beaten. Without McGlenning as captain, this team seems to have a little bit of chink. They can be beaten. I feel it comes down to getting the basics right and having that belief. Obviously, you need to have that belief. India seem to be losing so many times to Australia in crucial matches, so they have to somewhere break it, break it once at least in a crucial match. Not in a dead rubber or something, but in a crucial match, they have to break it, and from there they might go on to keep beating Australia.
Yes. And on to predictions now. Ishan, your predictions also. Mannat Kashyap makes her debut, but I think Ishan is frozen at the moment. We'll let him thaw. Trisha, what is what are your predictions?
Um, Unfortunately, I don't know, but I'm having this feeling that Alisa Healy has not performed throughout the series. And either we are going to get that Healy storm in the T20Is or we are
Oh,
getting it today. And if it happens today, because Australia is batting first, Gargi, and if Australia puts on a huge total, we will see it. The basic problem with India also is in crunch situations, we don't handle pressure well. So, I think I'm seeing a 3-0 whitewash.
oh, Bharat, predictions.
Yeah, maybe I will also agree that it could be 3-0 whitewash, though I hope that India does something. Just to add to the point I made, just think of Kaur's run out in the World Cup last year.
Yes.
Even that was basics. It's not like suddenly have to play completely different brand of cricket. Somewhere, especially against Australia, India don't seem to. Yeah, they also lose to England quite a bit in limited overs cricket. I agree, but especially against Australia in crucial matches, India don't seem to get the basics right. Somehow under pressure they collapse, or some run out happens, crazy kind of run out happens. They drop 3 4 catches. I think this is where India seem to lose to the big team.
Am I audible
Ishan,
now, Gagi? Am
yes,
I
yes,
Yes.
audible?
predictions. Yes,
Oh, thank God. I've been waiting to speak. Okay, first of all, about the brand of
you
cricket,
had
I think the
frozen.
Indians have to play. I was waiting to speak. I wasn't getting anything. But okay, but
Still, I think your network
I'm
is
on
really
that.
choppy and we can't hear you very well, Ishan. So, and your frame is also
Can you hear me
frozen.
now?
So, we can hear you, but we can't see you moving at all. So I
Yeah, I
think
think your frame has frozen. Ishan, why don't you send us your your opinions in the mid innings along with
yes,
that will be
All right, I'll
important
do
because
that.
you are right there
Okay.
for us, our eyes and ears at Wankhede.
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
Bilkul.
Yes. All
Until
right.
then,
Okay.
stay tuned to Ref Sports. Like we said, we'll be back at the mid innings as well, and we'll be back for the post show as well. So stay tuned to Ref Sports.